hope you're having a great start to your week. I've got the light a little brighter in my eyeballs than maybe I had intended. Today is World Obesity Day, would have been yesterday, perhaps in other parts of the world. And I want to talk about, instead of stats, I want to talk about things you guys can do with the tools that you have or the tools that you are considering. Obesity is not a disease. It is not a condition. It is a symptom. And it's a common symptom for a variety of health issues. Maybe you're dealing with diabetes, maybe you've got arthritis, perhaps you're dealing with something that just makes the exercise required to keep the pounds off. There's I could go on and on and on for the reasons that people are dealing with obesity or heading in that direction. So today I want to talk about top tools. So I've got 3 tools that kind of lead into 3 ways that you can use these tools to battle obesity. I run a very large fat disorders group. Many of you will be joining me from there, and it's important to understand that you can lose weight. There are conditions out there that may say otherwise, or say that exercise just isn't effective. Very often, in my experience, and I'm almost going on 20 years with the vibration machines and some of the light therapies myself, I just see users day after day after day that prove many of these statements wrong. So it is very much an individual thing. If you're joining me from the VIP group, thank you for joining me. I want to make sure that you can see and that you can hear me. So if you could just let me know in the comments if I'm coming through on the other end. One little bit of housekeeping as well that I would like to mention. Hello, Valerie. Please drop the link for the toe and nose infrared. Valerie, I'm not, I don't have that in front of me today. I'm not using that tool, but I will go back in after the live and look that new tool up for you. I believe that's a new product that Amber has launched. And I do have the nose infrared, the sinus. It's funny when that showed up, not to get off too far on a tangent. I was going through like a brutal sinus infection. It's kind of an annual thing I go through in the winter, out shoveling the snow and all these kinds of things where I live. And it was fantastic. It was not a drug. It was not, I prefer to use alternatives and natural alternatives where at all possible. So I will drop that and see if I can find the toe one for you as well, Valerie. Today, I'm talking about World Obesity Day, things that you can do with LifePro tools you have or perhaps you've been considering. There is also, there's a review contest coming to an end in the next few hours. If you've made a purchase within the last week or so, the details are in the link I'm about to share. But make sure that you go in, do your review. You will be entered to win a $1,000 Visa gift card and a fancy schmancy t-shirt from LifePro. So I've just dropped that into the comments for those of you that are joining me. You'll see that there is a link there. Go to the link, get yourself registered, and it'll explain better what you should be doing to enter that contest. And that'll be drawn later this week. It's 50 people. Once there's ways to get more entries, so you can get more than 1 point or 2 points or 3. There's entry points, but once there are 50 people that have submitted, that will be cut off. So there's a few hours left, I believe, in today's contest. So for those of you that know what I'm talking about, I've just dropped the link so you can surf through that. Today we're going to go over some interesting stuff that you've probably heard already. Oh, I've got about 8 lights going on today, and I think I've overdone it. It's dark outside, so I was trying to brighten things up in here. What I would suggest, the primary focus as far as tools that I'm going to cover today, I've got out here, and there's so many wonderful ways that LifePro can make you move and feel better. And when you're dealing with obesity, it's not just about exercising and working out and there's this whole stigma about you got to lose weight and you got to do this. And if you don't do what you're told, it's not going to happen. And I'm sick and tired of it, quite honestly. I think the people that I've worked with over the years And it's not always just a vibration plate. Sometimes that's just a catalyst to get you to the next thing that you want to do. It's about finding something that you enjoy. And if you are very below baseline, which if you're dealing with obesity, you're not just dealing with obesity, you're dealing with knee pain, back pain, foot pain, shoulder pain. There's never just one thing that you're dealing with. So any of the tips I'm going to show you today are equally effective for not just the biggest primary symptom of obesity, but the other things that tend to be associated with that, if that makes sense. I wanted to make sure that I'm coming through on the other end, and I forgot. Okay. Shannon says, sounds good. Hello, Kim from BC. Eon, Reeve Musk, write me up privately. Not sure what you're asking for. If there's some information you'd like me to send you privately, or you need a private discussion, drop me a message. If it's something that you think others may benefit from, I am going to get to some questions at the end of the demo, because again, obesity is never the same between each body. So I want to leave some healthy time for your questions, the things that are holding you back from moving forward. Today, I want you to start thinking about moving forward, not looking in the rearview mirror. I want you looking through the windshield and forget what in the past hasn't worked or what sets you back. Look at the body that you're dealing with today. And even if it's just a matter of getting up out of the chair and standing for, a minute, 30 seconds, whatever those bad knees, whatever the additional weight is presenting on the rest of your body parts, try standing more and bearing your weight. So if you find you sit for long periods, which is common with a lot of conditions, not just obesity being the symptom, but just pain, swelling, fatigue. There's all kinds of reasons that you find yourself sitting more throughout the day. So whether you have a vibration plate or not, just standing and bearing your body and all of its systems to gravity and your body, you don't feel it, but gravity is a very, very big part of our health in many ways that we just don't really think about and take for granted, unless you take a fall. Then you remember what gravity is all about. But when we're standing, our body is using our muscles and our bones to keep us upright and stable on the floor. If the best way that you can start when you're standing is just unlock the knees. Locked legs, that skeletal structure in the legs is holding you upright more than the muscles. If you can just start by unlocking those knees, and I'm doing this purposefully without the machine going so that you can see where we're going. But just by unbending the knees, it further engages those quads, the glutes, the calves, stability in the ankles and the hips and all the way up to the top. And when you start feeling tired and feel that, you need to sit down, then sit down. But I challenge you as a very basic thing that you can do, anyone for the most part can do to get started, just stand. If you're in a position where you're unable to bear weight, maybe you're recovering from something on top of all of this, you're dealing with chronic issues, start changing the sitting in some way. Perhaps start lifting the legs, start reaching forward, okay? Where the vibration plate, which is my number one tool. So there's 3 tools, as I said, we're going to talk about, and 3 top ways that you should become active or there's a million opinions and studies out there when it comes to things like weight loss and bone density, because it's a common issue, and it's something that, in most of our lives we are dealing with to a degree. But the top ways that I feel, in my experience, and many of the sites online would support me on this, that you can battle obesity as a symptom, and how you can begin to start moving, feeling better, losing that weight, and progressing if you're at that very below baseline stage. Cardio and aerobic activity. So cardio, aerobic activity kind of mean the same thing, but they may mean different things to you. Cardio, very often you get this vision in your head where you've got to be on this treadmill and running forever and ever and ever. Well, if I were to keep doing what I was just doing for about a minute and a half more, my knee would make me incapable of doing my day-to-day for the rest of the day. Running, walking even presents a lot of impact. And how long you do it for just subjects those joints to further, pain and agony. So cardio and aerobic is a great way to burn calories. It's important for improving and maintaining overall your heart health. It raises your heart rate. It raises your breathing. So there's reasons we want to do cardio. But there's other ways you can do it than running like a hamster on a treadmill. So that'll be the first part of my demonstration. The next way is strength and resistance training. A lot of times, when we're dealing with excess weight, we again get hung up in that cardio and starving ourselves to death mentality. But weights, weight-bearing activities, resistance, your bands that come with your plate, all, body weight exercises. These are all strength and resistant exercises. And they're a fantastic way to burn calories. You're going to build muscle while you're burning the fat. Maybe not as vigorous as a rate of you running for 20 minutes on a treadmill, but you're not going to be able to do that anyways. It's going to increase your strength. It's going to give you more muscle mass. It's going to increase your metabolism. There's just too many pluses to strength training. And in a lot of ways, if the mobility is poor, the balance is poor, the fatigue is there, it's a better option to start with than cardio type activities. Not saying that you can't change the recipe along the way, but you've got to be successful in getting rid of this obesity weight, which you can lose. You need to find something that you can do and something ideally that you enjoy doing. Okay. The third way, the top way to battle obesity is more of a style of training. HIIT training, HIIT, which is high intensity, very short in duration bursts of activity, followed by either periods of rest or very low passive activity. After the high intensity stuff. And the reason this is such an amazing way, not just for weight loss, strength, those type of things, but if you're busy like me and like most people in the world today, HIIT style training is a great, fantastic way to burn calories, lots and lots of calories, while improving your overall fitness in a very, very short period of time. So it sounds a lot like the tool I'm about to do a couple of moves on to show you how to incorporate not only the cardio, not only the strength and resistance training, but the HIIT training. The beauty and the biggest advantage to the top tool I'm showing you today, the vibration plate, is it can give you the cardio. It can give you the strength and resistance training. And you can do it in a HIIT style fashion to save time. Not only, maybe because you're busy, but if you are dealing with chronic issues like swelling, the joint pain, these type of things, fatigue, the more you can get done and the more intensity you can tolerate while you're doing your exercises, the more bang for your buck you're going to get in a shorter period. So today, before I get into the demo, one thing I really want to discuss, because it's actually a very common question, is what plate is best for me? Or what plate is best for, let's say, obesity? If we're dealing with true obesity, we're dealing with excess weight, we're dealing with heavier bodies. And if you start incorporating some of the tools I'm about to show, you want to make sure that your plate has adequate weight capacity. Most of the Rumblex models, I believe, nowadays will accommodate at least 330, some of them upwards of 500. I believe the waiver as well. Today, I'm using the Rumblex Plus. For those of you that have watched any of my sessions in the past, the Rumblex Plus is my favorite kind of all-around Rumblex. I deal with tons and tons of fitness and athletes and those type of people, but I also deal with a wave of symptom management, chronic issues, and sometimes we're dealing with excess weight and obesity, which is what we're talking about today. So I'm all about functional training. All I want you to understand is a vibration machine is something that accelerates the benefits of what you do on the floor in less time with less effort on your part, which is a big advantage for what we're dealing with today. So the Rumblex Plus has all the bells and whistles function-wise. Oscillating movement is the primary movement. That's where all these machines started. The pulsation, the lateral, those are gravy. They're added bonuses and ways to customize settings based on your tolerance and how you happen to be feeling at the time. The positions that you're doing are universal, but in oscillating, there's a couple of more things that you're in control of. I like a flat plate surface because we are dealing with improving your health. We're not dealing with elite athletes today. So I want to make sure that you're as functional as possible and stable as possible. So flat plate surface is the best all around. Curve's going to present a little bit more challenge. I tend to recommend that more for my athletic users. If that's something you're aspiring to get back to, there's a lot of discipline between here and then, but one of the curved plates may be something that you're considering. But you want to stick with it long term to get to that extra challenge. So the flat plate surface is going to be coupled today with a chair if you're dealing with lots of fatigue, as I started out talking about, sitting and standing more as the very first building block to getting improvements today. Sitting on a vibration plate or sitting on a stool with your feet on a vibration plate is just going to present more benefit in less time. So if you're sitting down lots anyways, do it. Oh, hang on. I keep bumping the cord here today. So what we're going to do, and I've covered the how-tos and the speeds at nausea in all my videos, but all of my videos are in oscillating movement. It's the one movement that all of LifePro's models offer. It is the most functional, and it's got a huge advantage on things like improving your stability, your balance and mobility, which is kind of another whole side symptom of dealing with, an obese body or a deficient body where you're dealing with pain. So I recommend one of the big things when we are larger, and you'll see it in all of my videos, I'm always nagging you to bring your feet closer, bring them closer and go faster. It's just the way that I do it. It's the number of chronic conditions that I deal with. And I want everybody to get their head out of this, what everybody's been saying for 15 years. There's never one way to lift weights. There's never one way to use the settings of a vibration machine. And there are two: your speed, how fast you're moving, how many times the machine's moving you, and your amplitude or your intensity. In oscillating, this is one of the unique features of this movement style. Think like a teeter-totter. Wider is more movement, more impact. It's more like jogging and running. And most machines even have a picture of you running versus walking. So when you're running, you're getting more impact because you're getting more movement. Bring your feet closer to the center. And the challenge when we're dealing with larger bodies is how close you can get your feet together is determined by your mass in this area. If you've got a lot of inches around the thighs, sometimes it's hard to bring the feet closer together, Debbie. I can't put them in the middle like you asked me to, Debbie. So I am asking you to first start seated. If you've never used a plate, just to get a feel for it, okay? We're beginning, to get the lymph, the circulation, just doing, let's say, a bit of a warm-up is going to present you in a better position to do some of the cardio, the strength training in the HIIT style fashion we're going to do. So feet close, if this is your first lesson. For those of you that know where this is going, and we're going to progress into other exercises, you've been using your plate for a little while, the number one best exercise to lose weight and use your vibration machine for the most benefit is a squat. There's a bazillion and a half variations, but the reason it's so effective as a position in this environment of a vibration plate that just brings so much more benefit than doing these exercises on the floor is you're going to get more movement in less time. You're going to activate more muscle fiber, without feeling it. Your body's, stabilizing yourself and keeping you upright on this plate. So you're getting more benefits than just burning some calories. But the basis of a squat and then what that squat looks like is going to vary based on you, your range of motion, your ability to hold a position for a period of time. So start where you can. If it's, the knees are just slightly bent, totally fine. I recommend no movement starting out. Don't irritate the joints more than you need to. Get the technique down. Get some body awareness of how you feel on this plate before you start moving up and down and making the position more challenging. We will get to the cardio. Understand the foundations first. For those of you that are able, I challenge you to go a little further, almost like you're getting ready to sit in that chair, and the chair being there is a great idea in case you do fatigue and need to sit down, or maybe you just need to take a break, or maybe you're really pushing yourself, and I'm so proud of you, but you get to a point of fatigue and you can't stand back up, right? So there's other reasons to have that chair there for you. For those of you that are, strong, you're conditioned, but you're working on the weight, I'd love to see you fatigue within the 45-second to maybe a minute mark Again, adhering to what your range of motion allows. If you feel you're ready to move and want to progress, do it ever so slowly. Don't do it super fast. I know you think you're going to get more cardio out of it, but by going very slow in your movements, you can very easily target and feel where the stimulation is hitting you. You'll remain more stable, and it is not easier. I assure you, you're going to be huffing and puffing after you play with this one position for a little bit. Make sure the core is engaged. You've got good posture. I don't want you looking like this. That's not a squat. This is a squat. You're getting ready to sit down in that chair, okay? And just hold still. Next progression, many of you are already saying, I can't do that. I can't even bend my knees. All I can do is undo them. And if you've been using your plate for feel-good aspects, the lymph, the circulation, the other things that it gives you, how do you progress until you can become more functional? Well, that gets to top way number 2, strength and resistance training. I present to you LifePro adjustable dumbbells. I've got them up on one of the stands that comes with the other dumbbells. And what I would recommend if you are wanting to push your muscles a little bit further, fatigue yourself a little bit faster, feel like you're getting a little bit more wind going, a bit more cardio effect, and you feel stable on your plate. Very important. I want you to feel stable. Baby steps. You will feel stable throughout the course of even your first session, but if you're feeling uncomfortable combining the action of adding more mass to the plate at this point, continue as you are until you feel more stable. So I'm not going to overdo it today. I've got these set for 15 pounds per side. So what I'm going to do, for those of you that are unable to improve function in your range of squat, and you find your durations are getting longer, but you want to push yourself more, we're picking up the weights. Okay? It doesn't have to be a ton. Okay? And all we're doing is increasing how much we weigh on the plate. We're pushing our muscles with 30 more pounds. If you feel comfortable and you're doing weights now and you're doing upper body exercises, perhaps if your stability allows, you're doing combining things. This is where that whole HIIT part 3 top weight, anything that you can do while you're standing on the plate to increase the difficulty, the challenge is only going to not only make the exercise time more effective, but it's going to cut it down big time. All right. So, safely. Just wait. I got to make sure I get this back. That's just a very simple example. If you don't have weights to incorporate, use what you have around the house. Put on a backpack and throw in a bag of rice, or fill a couple of milk jugs with some water. Increase your mass in some way. I've had this thing for about 20 years, long before LifePro came out with awesomer ideas. But this is a weight vest. It goes up to 35 pounds. I can adjust it in 5-pound increments. And I just strap it on my body to make me heavier. And something like that's great for moving around and doing different exercises where maybe holding the weights isn't an option. But with today's goal, targeting obesity, gaining strength, improving your function by simply adding mass to your standing exercises. If it's just the squat to start, great. It is an effective exercise, but this is one way that you can progress where maybe the joints aren't ready to yet, if that makes sense to those of you that are incorporating these type of activities. So what else did I want to talk about on the plate? So yes, you can combine the cardio, the strength, the HIIT. The other big bonus of using a vibration plate versus just doing these exercises on the floor is the other symptoms, the aches, the pains, the fatigue, the swelling, the poor circulation, all of those other things that are synonymous with obesity. The plate's taken care of while you're doing your exercises. Many of you are using your plates for the feel-good symptom management aspect of it. But if you're willing to just simply, instead of going from here, which just feels so good, I know, to pushing yourself a little bit further, you will be amazed at the very short and long-term improvements you see in other ways. So it's going to manage the symptoms, and one of the big reasons that I recommend using it in short, purposeful sessions. So exercise aside for your symptoms, and even if your exercise sessions are short, anything under that 3-4 minute mark when you're first starting out, even 1 to 2 minutes, if that's more comfortable for you, you're going to boost energy. You're going to improve your mental clarity, your mood. So sometimes when you're dealing with obesity, it's the mental health, the being down on ourselves, the negativity around us being fed to us, the stereotypes. So I get a little ramped up. I do a bit of advocacy for a lot of these disorders, and it's not necessary. You know, we need to be lifting each other up and motivating each other. And a vibration plate is a great way to get you in the mindset of progressing. No one is going to do the self-care for you. No one is going to do the work for you. So if all you're using your plate for starting out is to improve, some basic systems, get the blood and the lymph flowing, and that, I don't know how else to describe it, but you just feel happier after you use it. You feel in a better place, and it somehow makes exercise, doing the things that we need to do, more possible. Okay, that's you know why they have timers on vibration machines. So it's Debbie's cue to stop rambling and stop talking. I've set my glasses down somewhere. There they are. I've kind of covered the top 3 ways, and I've incorporated a couple of tools. So I just want to recap here a bit before I get to point 3. Then I'm going to circle back for questions. So again, we're dealing with obesity. It's World Obesity Day. There's lots of different ways that you can lose the weight, and you can lose the weight. And you'll find that the associated symptoms that come with that extra mass will also start to lessen and dissipate as the weight and the function improves. So cardio, aerobic activity, things that raise that heart rate, boost the breathing, burns calories. It's going to improve the overall health of your body, your heart in particular. Absolute, probably the number one thing most people are going to recognize or recommend to you. Unfortunately, and this is where the plate came in for me back in the day when I had to lose some weight, I couldn't run on the treadmill for more than a minute or 2 if I tried, without paying for it for the next few days. So my muscles were conditioned, my body was able, but my knee just wasn't having any part of it. So, sometimes it's not that the desire and the discipline and the motivation isn't there. It's, a certain body part just ain't having it. So give yourself a break and start moving and feeling better, and the rest will fall into place. The next one is, of course, strength training, resistance training. If you've got a vibration plate, bands came with them. This is a nice 55-pound set of LifePro's adjustable dumbbells. There's a few different examples on there. But if you lack function, range of motion, things like that, but you want to push yourself further in other ways, adding mass and incorporating it while you're doing your standing exercises on your vibration plate are like a big bang for your buck. You're going to get it done in a fraction of the time with a whole lot more benefit, and you're not going to have the energy feel as depleted. You're going to have some energy and some reserves as well. So that HIIT style training is ever so critical. Keep your exercises high intensity, short in duration, with a rest period after the fact, or perhaps you're just doing some light passive activity. This is also very, obesity aside, this is a very common story. I tell my folks for heart health in general. February was Heart Health Month, and HIIT style is not only a great approach for obesity because of some of the symptoms that you're trying to manage. It's a great approach for many health conditions or things that you're recovering out there. It's about being more effective, pushing that intensity in a short duration for more benefit, less time, oxidative stress on the joints, all those things. Okay. So that's just a way to do these tools. The last little tip I want to give you, I've got a couple of examples here in the corner, is saunas. I'm going to say saunas, which is a very big term in itself, but infrared saunas in particular, for those of you that are well below baseline, or perhaps you just want to add something to your existing routine, you're just not getting the results you want. or you're really stressed out and you just need to relax a little bit. Saunas are one of the oldest to man known wellness technologies. They're safer than safe. And sometimes, there's mentalities out there that, I can't take the heat, or I'm not supposed to. My doctor said that with my condition. Infrared heat is very different. And if you're in, the fifth or sixth decade of your life or later, they're not like those steam saunas back in the day or what you might see at the pool. They're a very dry, very soothing, very healing heat. And, they have a temperature dial. They have a timer. It's not like you have to commit to these technologies for an hour a day at top temperature. Set them for what is comfortable for your tolerance. And where they become such a fabulous tool when we're dealing with obesity is it's a way to get that kind of a cardio cheat. I'll say it. You can't do the treadmill. You're building up on the vibration plate, but you can't get yourself to a point where the huff and the puff or the lung function is being challenged. And a sauna is a really great way to do a number of things in complement with any of the things I've discussed today. A very big, very important one that I forgot to mention with the vibration plate, which is commonly known with saunas, is detoxification. You want to lose some weight? You know what? It's taken some time and probably a few things between medications and food. And there's just toxins out there that your body has processed and absorbed. And a lot of times with obesity, or if you're just trying to lose a couple of extra pounds, toxins get in the way. So adding that element of detox is a great way to ramp up the effects overall. A sauna is something almost anyone can use. So if you're in a situation where you're unable to bear weight, be it on the floor, let alone the vibration plate, or sitting is really your only option for a period of time because you're recovering from something, a sauna is something you can use laying down. It's something that you can use sitting up. Really think about where you would be using it, how often, and what your current mobility is like. My favorite bang for your buck would probably be the sauna blankets. This is the Bio Remedy, simply because there's a couple of sizes available. So this is the regular. There's also a larger size if you're taller or you just need a little bit more room. And there's something that everybody in the house can use, and they pack up to very little. They're portable. So if you travel and you need to do your self-care on the go, that's a really good option. This is the mini InfraZen mat. So if you do spend a lot of time seating, this is probably out of all, even though I'm like the vibration machine lady, this is like every day I'm on this thing for at least a half hour. It's how I end my day. It's the only time you'll find me stopped for like 30 minutes at a time. I'm always running around. So that offers PEMF as well as infrared, but it's a really great way to boost the metabolism, elevate that detoxification, give you a boost of circulation, lymph, all of that. And it's amazing at alleviating pain, restless leg, all those other things that you're dealing with by bearing this extra mass. So the vibration plate and the sauna have very similar benefits. The difference between the two is this affords the ability to offer weight-bearing exercise gains, whereas the sauna is more the therapeutic, the wellness side. But as a complement, these two are fantastic. And as I said, if I were, the dream trio would be some weights. You just start using those, incorporating those resistance bands and those type of tools for the strength and the resistance piece. So the sauna is gonna, it's that cardio cheat where maybe exercise isn't possible. You're in a position of recovery, or you just want to add something else. Throw it into your arsenal. Why not take advantage of something like that? For those of you that have been told you can't tolerate heat or you shouldn't, have you tried infrared? Maybe there's something locally, but for the price of the blankets and some of these tools, I think where my users have so much success with them is with a home product. You're doing it in your own space. You can take the makeup off. You can have the lemonade there or whatever. You're more likely to do the treatment more often. And with any of these tools, if the goal is obesity and managing those symptoms, consistent, regular use is what's going to be the key overall. So I think where the success with the saunas come from is it's in your own home. You're relaxed when you're done them. You can just go to bed or whatever your lifestyle entails. So there's just more flexibility in your own four walls, and it's going to help you manage the other symptoms you're dealing with, the pain, the swelling. It's just ultimately the great relaxation. So in a dream world, I'd see this as the work, the wellness as well, and this is how you finish your day or every other day. So some simple ideas. I hope they've been effective, and I'm going to stop rambling and see what you guys have for questions at this point. So who's with me here? Again, for those of you that maybe didn't join me in the beginning, I did a reminder. There is a review contest that may already be ended. It's based on the number of people that enter. So once 50 people enter, she's cut off. This week, it's a Visa gift card and a spanky fancy LifePro t-shirt. So the link is there. If you have purchased something within the last week, I believe, go in there. There's different ways to get reviews entered and get your chance to win. Facebook user says hi. Hi, did you drop the link? It's above. I hope you see it there. Hello, Kathy. Hello, Gina. Hello, Cheryl. Which vibration plate is the best one to buy, money aside? People get so frustrated with my answers. There's no best machine. It depends what you're using it for and how you intend to use it. The best machine is the one that suits your lifestyle. That doesn't help. Two things to think about, Cheryl. Do you want to move it around? So is this something that maybe needs to be portable? You're going to be using it under the desk and then maybe by the bed or taken to the office? Or do you have a dedicated spot space that you plan to use it in? That would be the first thing the best isn't always the most expensive. Right now, personally, I do like the Rumblex series because there's variety, and I'm really loving, it's the fancy one, the Relaxa vibe. It's kind of looks like the Ottoman, but with purpose. So if you're planning on putting it in your living room, but you're not looking for a big eyesore, that would be kind of the creme de la creme model. It's got like this, it looks like oak, and there's like this secret little door underneath the heated mat cover, and it's pretty creme de la creme. But if you're dealing with symptom management, some of the stuff I'm talking about today, and you need to have sometimes in the beginning the ability to move it around, you're using it at a couple of different places, I would start with something basic like the Waver Mini if the weight capacity is sufficient. Because my goal as the trainer is I want you using it more frequently. If you've got to go down 6 hallways and up 6 sets of stairs to get to the machine, you're not going to be using it regularly. So just keep that in mind, Cheryl. That would be my best recommendation. And I'm going to go through questions. So ask me back if you have another. Diane, I need a coffee. Can the mat be used to stand on because the plate itself hurts the ball of the feet? 100,000% yes, you can. Diane, the trainer, wants to know why it's hurting the balls of the feet. Is it how we're positioning ourselves on the plate? Is there a deficiency? Sometimes, and I'm just throwing this at a dartboard, if there's a shift to the toes of the machine, there's 2 reasons. One, the body's trying to cheat. The connection and the movement up through your body when you're on these things is at the heel. And the number one way that your lazy body cheats, and it always tries to find the easiest way to do anything. That's why we compensate. Everything gets compensated for. But we shift our weight to the balls of our feet because it makes the standing, whatever we're doing, easier. It doesn't transfer as much up through the body. So try and get 60 to 70% of that weight on the heels. And a good way to test if that's what's holding you stable on the plate is just try lifting your toes a little bit. Not to the point where you're falling backwards, but if you're unable to lift your toes, you're pushing you're too much weight into the balls of the feet. Now, flip side of that, if you have like heel spurs or a fracture or something in the heel, and sometimes you don't know about these things until you try a vibration machine. For me, it's a diagnostic tool. I put somebody on one of my machines and I just look and say, hey, there's something wrong with your hip. There's something wrong with your heel. Sometimes when you shift forward to the ball of the feet, it's because there's a deficiency in the heel, the ankle, somewhere else up the relationship of traveling up the legs. So I'm curious about that. It may also, I guess there's a third point. It may also be because maybe you're using a plate that doesn't have a flat surface. What I mean, and consumer demand, it's you guys that drive, changes in the machines. I want a purple one. I want one with magnetic therapy bumps. Okay, so that's a common. I got one here. If you have, sometimes why you need a lighter machine, because you need to bring it on camera. If you have a machine with this kind of plate surface, it's not my fave as a trainer. There's never the perfect machine, but instinctively you have these cute little footprints where you're to put your feet. Would look better this way. So you put your feet here and you feel you're committed here. Yet Debbie's always telling me to put my feet closer. So that's the number one reason I don't like these, is it leads you to put your feet here and doesn't teach you that you're in control. Wide is more action, closer is less action. So they kind of get in the way because there's actually a bit of like surface to them. The other reason is if you're bearing your weight and you're standing on these things, yeah, they hurt the heels. They hurt the toes. They feel good for a little while, but if you're going through a whole big workout and pushing to fatigue and doing the squats and the things I'm telling you to do, this isn't my favorite type of plate for weight-bearing exercises, for standing, if you're planning on doing things longer. It's my favorite kind of plate if you like to do a lot of seated use, you're dealing with chronic issues where, you're not putting your full body weight on it, because it kind of makes up for the lack of body weight. It gets into those areas of the feet and you can adjust it. But what you can do with this is simply, yes, add a mat to the surface of the plate. It'll kind of even out the surface. Add a couple if you need, because they do compress a little bit. I would prefer you go like soccer bare feet with a mat than shoes. Shoes if you need, or if you got some fancy orthotics and you're just starting out. But we weren't born with shoes, and there's a lot of deficiencies in the feet and the ankles that, if you let the feet do their job and support you, and it's not the structure of the shoe, they improve more and you get better results too, with sensitivity, the neuropathy, those types of things. So if you are dealing with neuropathy, be careful with the bumps. You may not feel them, so be conscious of your time. I hope that addresses your question, Diane. It's always a depends with me. Sorry about that. But I truly, I want to empower you guys with the, learning, shortening the learning curve instead of the 20 years I've spent figuring all this out. So yes, use your mat to stand on it. If that's the reason, if there's something more going on that you may or may not be aware of with the feet, feel free to message me and tag me at Debbie with a Y, Diane, or drop me a direct message and I'll happily answer for you. Facebook user Laura from New York. Hello. I like the Rumble X4D and lift weights while I'm on it, but can barely squat because it immediately starts to hurt my knee. Not really overweight, but did gain during menopause and want to lose that. Okay. I love the wall art of the tree. It's from my garden. I bought it from my garden and I had to have it inside because, I have like 1.5 feet of snow outside right now. Still, it's very depressing. So Laura, I'm thinking for you. So what I was talking about where you can't bend the knees and adding the weight. Sometimes people say, oh, you can't even bend your knees. What are you doing picking up weights? You understand the lesson there. So by increasing your mass, you're making those muscles work harder and you're burning more calories. But we want to talk about improving function. So if it's hurting the knees, and sometimes if it's harder to go lower, sometimes maybe you're standing wider. When you stand wide, as I said earlier in the session, you get more movement, more impact. Try getting the feet hip width apart or closer, or perhaps, maybe one leg on, one leg off. Let me give you a visual. Oh, just wait. I have too many things in the way. This is the Aeroflex step. And I should have had it out. Sorry. It's pretty rare that I go through a session without finding a use for this damn thing. Okay. So this is, maybe you're dealing with one side that's really bad, or, there's always one side that's better, got better range, more strength than the other. So, I forget your name. This is for Laura. So Laura, perhaps you put 1 foot on the plate, 1 foot on dry land. So I'm on the Aeroflex step. And this way my body is level, but only one side is exposed at a time. And maybe start working the range one side at a time. If you get, you get the good leg on there, let's say, that's got more range and more strength, and you work within its range of motion. If you find that's challenging, try without the step, keep this leg straighter, keep this leg more bent, and it kind of breaks up the body weight while still strengthening, but it's more than if you were seated on the plate. Okay. Another idea is simply, I got too much furniture in the way. Because I know from experience, sometimes it's not that the knee doesn't want to go that bad. It's bearing the rest of our body on the plate. If you haven't tried a lunge, put one foot flat on the plate. And I always recommend a closer foot position at a mid-speed range. I know it sounds crazy, but slow is not like a treadmill. Slow is wobbly, choppy. It's Bosu ball purpose stuff. So I want you working with a mid-speed with any deficiencies at all. It's going to be smoother. You're going to get more muscle movement in less time. And it's going to be less destabilizing. I don't want you taking a tumble. So foot closer, faster speed, and then use this back leg to support you. Perhaps having, if mobility is poor or you're unstable, maybe you've got a chair just so you got something to hang on to, and try working one leg at a time, right? I don't imagine your range of motion getting down and up is good. And another idea is to work more seated. So if you're only standing on the plate, perhaps, unfortunately, a squat is a bit challenging. If you feel stable, one of the most common things we do 100 times a day is what's called a sit to stand, where you're standing up off the plate or standing up onto the floor. In this case, we're mimicking, sitting at that kitchen chair, our feet are on the floor, and we stand up. This is, Laura, a fantastic way to use that HIIT style training. So we're firing up these big muscle groups really, really quickly, and just go to whatever your range of motion allows, and sit back down when you feel fatigued. This is not only going to, boost the calorie burn, the metabolism, all that stuff we're trying to talk about today, but it's going to make the motion of getting up out of that chair, out of the car, sitting back down easier. It's going to build the strength, and all of a sudden the range of motion starts improving too. Just a couple of ideas for you to try on that. I hope that makes sense. Who else have I got here? Is there a maximum amount of time we can do on the plate? I work from home, so I would like to know how long I can sit with my feet on it. You're putting me in a corner, Kim. A lot of people think, it's like this regulatory thing and there's a handbook. This isn't shockwave therapy. This isn't a jackhammer. When I get asked by medical types that question, I say, well, I don't know. How long is Kim allowed to go for a walk today? How long is Kim able to run up and down stairs? Probably two very different answers. So it's not a number that I like to offer. Most manufacturers suggest 30 minutes a day max. But if you're just starting out, why are you trying to win the race already? Use it more frequently in shorter sessions to manage the pain, the symptoms, and chip away at the exercise versus one big long session. Even especially when you're seated. And if you're using it seated for long durations, I absolutely recommend try to ensure that you're as close to sitting at a 90-degree angle. If you're in a traditional chair and you're over about 5'4", 5'5", your hips tend to be going downhill. And not everyone, but I have had the odd customer develop, uncomfortable on the knees and the hips long term because we're sitting at a decline and we're adding all this movement. You try to be at a 90-degree angle or stand up a couple of times after you've done it just to get things loosened and moving, if you will. So I wouldn't like to say that you're using it all day. You're using it for feel good and passive use. If it's a fitness thing, hopefully you're dying long before that 30-minute max allowance is incorporated. But if I'm being completely frank, Kim, I have customers that use it for hours a day. If you're dealing with severe pain and this thing is giving you relief, it doesn't matter what I say. Once you develop a level of comfort and experience, you're going to do what you want anyways. but I would like you to exercise caution. The biggest side benefit of using a vibration plate is how awesome it makes you feel. It's the energy it gives you. So very commonly, if you are overdoing it, you end up overdoing it in other ways. So, you're using it, at the desk, and you're feeling great, and you decide you're going to go for a walk around the block because you feel great. Don't take on a whole bunch of new stuff if you're just getting started out on the plate, because you feel like you are able. It really can have a very soothing, very relieving effect. But try breaking up the use. So maybe you're using it for a couple of minutes every hour, or a couple 3 times a day for 15 to 20 minutes or what have you. I wouldn't recommend more than the preset time at one go. It really boils down to your body and its systems. Are you dealing with vascular insufficiency? Have you got lymph issues? Sometimes you don't want vast amounts of circulation and lymphatic movement. You've got to take also into consideration what your body has to process with prolonged movement. So just be precautious, Kim, if you are dealing with any flow issues. I hope that makes sense. Amy, can you provide an example of how to do a HIIT on the plate? I'm sorry if I missed the info. HIIT, it can be one thing, Amy. HIIT is simply, while you're doing what you're doing, whether it's a single position or an entire routine, it's high intensity, short duration, and that's going to be followed by a break, or maybe some less intense, more passive exercise. So for today, I did one exercise, the most effective exercise, with a bazillion variations to a degree, because you're all very unique and different yourselves. But a squat is the most effective position to gain benefit in using a vibration plate, but it's also the best bang for your buck if we're trying to battle the obesity symptom. And it is a symptom. Obesity is not a disease or a condition. It's a symptom of something else, okay? A plate is just a kinder environment to do that squat in, that's going to give you a lot more benefit in less time. So vibration plate kind of is all about HIIT, because it increases effectiveness in less time. So Amy, if you were looking for a routine, I would suggest, start simple, and it's about being consistent and doing it regularly. So a simple squat, maybe 2 to 3 reps based on what I outlined in the beginning, where you're taking a rest in between, or perhaps you're just standing or sitting in the chair in between. And if you are like me and you're in that plus 40, 50 crowd where the metabolism's starting to do this, try and do the leg stuff. If you're doing, this is the foundation, early in the day, whatever your day looks like. So whatever your morning is, try and get it done early in the day to boost that metabolism, build up the reserves and the energy, and that idle calorie burning rate, get it elevated a little bit throughout the rest of your day, because you got those legs fired up in the morning. I think you'll feel it's a good way to start your day. I hope that makes sense, Amy. What else here? Does the infrared help with cellulitis? Cellulitis versus cellulite, 2 very similar but very distinctively different terms. If you're referring truly to the term cellulitis, that's something I would absolutely recommend you have to speak with your doctor about. I do have clients with cellulitis that manage with HIIT, but it wouldn't be, in my opinion, the first go-to. If you're not good with HIIT now, sometimes with cellulitis, whether it's the condition itself or some of the treatments that are being administered to you for the cellulitis, it is inflammation. I would want to make sure that that's an appropriate approach for you before you spend long-term doing it. I'm sure if you tried it, you would know just by how your body reacts. If it increases inflammation, if it's uncomfortable, that's not a position you want to be in. Something you may have to try, but it wouldn't be my first recommendation for that. I would again speak with your doctor. Perhaps red light. Red light being more on the skin surface, more soothing. It's going to offer less heat, let's say, than the infrared. Just or some of the other color spectrums. Perhaps a panel or something where you're not encasing the cellulitis and warming it as the sauna bag or a booth might be. Just something to look into a little further. That's just off the top of my head. Velma, I'm so curious, why is the surface of the rumblex so rough? Personally, I don't know if rough is the word. I would say textured. fact is, regardless of the fact that I like to use bare feet or socks, vast majority of users out there do like shoes. You want to make sure from a safety perspective that, people are not sliding off the plate. So it gives you good grip. Some of the markings on the plate, and they vary depending on what model that you have. Velma, just so you know, are foot and hand placement indicators, and those are different pieces of inserts. If you find that it's uncomfortable, like you're dealing with a sensitivity issue, neuropathy, things like that, a mat, or if you want just a thin layer, even just like kitchen shelf liner, just put a layer of it over top of the surface is a good way to just level it out. A lot of my yogis and my Pilates users that also like to use the plate barefoot have machine shape mats cut for many of their machines, and it serves dual purpose in a business. If you're doing these types of exercises from a sanitary perspective, sometimes that's why they're using shoes. But if you are using barefoot or sock, it's a good idea to just have even a thin mat. It makes your cleanup and your flow with your class is much more fluid. Facebook user does infrared help with cellulite on legs. So cellulite, not cellulitis. It certainly can. I would love to say, combine it with something else, perhaps some, it's not just appearance. The squats are equally effective for helping with the tone, the elasticity, those dimples, loosening up the connective tissue. So it absolutely is a fantastic complement. It is a great way to start, but I would love to see other, some manual therapies, some weight bearing exercise on the plate to give you all the more better results. But perfect complement, not only for the skin tone, but for the calorie burn, the cardio cheat, some of the things I mentioned earlier. Thanks, Laura. Replying to Diane, thanks for explaining. I will try standing to adjust and use socks. Not just used to using bare feet. Not everyone is. Some people think I'm crazy, but that's back in the day when there was nothing but, a couple of German medical devices that I learned on. That's what you did. There was no shoes unless you were like in a business or, someone, maybe required them for, maybe there's a lift or something when you're first starting out. But ideally, especially from a therapeutic standpoint, the neuropathy, the poor circulation, the feet are cold all the time. I deal with a ton of paralysis and those types of issues as well. So, there's nothing more effective than placing them directly on the plate, but you may require a cushion, especially if sensitivity is lacking. You don't want to develop a blister, or, you may not feel it. So make sure that, a mat is a really common couple with your machine. It's something you should consider using if you're not now. You had the sauna blanket in the second box that you indicated you use nightly. Can you talk about that product a bit more? I can briefly. Where is my box? It is the pulse electromagnetic field therapy mat. And right now, LifePro's got a couple of options. Pulse electromagnetic field therapy is just another type of therapy. It's a very passive therapy. Believe it or not, PEMF, I think they probably got their mark on the map as far as research in that for expediting bone healing and recovery. And I'm sure there's a couple of FDA articles on that. But this is a mini mat. So this one is it's going to get you in the back and the butt. I have chronic sciatic issues from sitting on my butt far too long in one stint. So this is a little bit lighter. These are heavy. The construction of them, the crystals that are in these type of devices. So there's the PEMF, pulse electromagnetic field therapy, and it is a therapeutic device. There's a couple of different settings, all kinds of research out on that as well. But it also offers infrared. So infrared as itself, PEMF as itself, or you can combine and do the two treatments in one with those type of mats. The dome, the infradome sauna, which if space and money are no object, that is the cat's meow. And my favorite of all my saunas that LifePro offers, because I can tuck it away, but I can feel like I'm at a spa as well. And I like to lay down. So I think that's also why I like the bags. But I like to lay down. My husband loves the booth. He'd sit in that thing all day and watch his programs on the laptop outside. So I would suggest if you're considering a sauna, you are wanting to make a bit more of an investment. The infradome, the mat, the red light mat that comes with that also offers pulse electromagnetic field therapy. It's a similar version of the full size of this, but it incorporates some other light therapies that are unique to the infradome as well. So consider where you're going to be using it, how you would be using it, and be realistic. If maybe money's no object, but if it's not a type of tool you envision yourself, or it's too much of a pain in the butt, you're not going to do it. Look at something that realistically you can use easily on a regular basis and will. That's my best recommendation, because there's a lot of choice out there, right? There's a lot of you out there that have different ideas of how to use these technologies. So poor Joel and everybody at LifePro has to keep coming up with new ideas. Of course, we evolve from the feedback you guys give us. Do you actually burn calories just by standing on the vibration plate? Probably my number one grown question. I got to be honest with you. Yes, of course you do. But are you burning a lot of calories just by standing on it? That really depends on you and your metabolism, which is different between everybody. The machine's not going to do all the work. And when it comes to weight loss, I've seen people, oh no, Deb, yeah, I've lost 60, 80, 100 pounds. Good for you. But very often there's also other changes, changes in food and nutritional choices and better rest. The machines tend to make you sleep better. There's improved lymphatic and circulation. So if the systems are working better, obviously and logically, you're going to shed a few pounds. But I would prefer to see you, instead of just standing, try a squat. Push yourself a little further. You'll thank yourself for the better results, the more strength, the more energy. There's other reasons I'd prefer you do more, but you don't have to. I'm not here to tell you how to use it, but know that if you are just standing, you will get to a period of time, no matter what you do with the settings, where all you really can do is go longer and longer. After a period of time, if you're not changing the position or challenging yourself, you're really just maintaining, to keep the results that you did achieve. So things to keep in mind. Again, never black and white. I can't give you a number. I'm not a big fan of the calorie counters. I think they're very subjective, and it's just another way for us to torment ourselves and step on the scale. And, muscle weighs, volume wise, more than its equivalent volume in fat. We know that. Start moving and feeling better, and the rest will fall into place. Try and keep it simple, keep it consistent, and that's really the best recipe for success long term. So thank you for joining me. I rambled long today. I need to get my daughter to Baton, and I will see you guys here next week for a new topic. I think I'm doing something on Women's Health Month. It's a big topic of discussion this month. So maybe I think I may do my top 5 moves for women next week, which is always a popular session. Thank you for joining me. If you do have questions after the fact or on a recorded basis, tag me at Debbie with a Y. I'd be happy to address and help others learn at the same time. If you have session ideas, let us know. And for those of you that are unaware, there is a review contest going on that may be ending as we speak. It ends when there's 50 people that have entered. You can get more points depending on the type of reviews you do and where you place them. But there is still time, from what I understand, because before the live, we hadn't hit 50 people yet. So get your entries in if you've got a review within the last week you'd like to submit. And the link is in the details. Thank you for joining me. Don't work too hard, you guys. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks for joining me.